Oh my, the planets of Andromeda. I guess I'll just kind of try to do it in order. But out of all of them, I think Havarl, the jungle planet, had a good amount of exploration, but it didn't overstay its welcome. Uh, I can understand why they wanted the Nomad had to have enough area to explore, but to go back to the first planet, Eos. Hello, desert planet of two desert planets. Uh, but Eos, man, it's kind of the hinterlands of Mass Effect Andromeda. That's one way I can put it. It's pretty much the hinterlands of the setting, where it's better to just try to do enough to activate the vault, and then keep on going. But I have a tendency to usually, oh, let's go out and say complete the whole planet, get it 100%. And I've noticed even doing my second playthrough here of Andromeda that that's my biggest thing where it's like, oh, I wanted 100% everything. This time around, you know, I'm like, I'm going to just do enough to where each planet gets 100% viability, then I'll carry on to something else. Now I realize, yeah, they hid some of those stupid Sudoku puzzles behind like finding extra tasks to do, but for my overall sanity, the best thing I could think to do was, yeah, just do a closed circuit of here's some of the main mission, at least get the colony down and the vaults, and then do just a handful of the side missions to where you hit 100%. And then you can always go back later and grab up whatever else you might have missed. But to be frank, probably what held back Andromeda a bit was mostly having the side content be like busy work. Now, there's a handful of things where it helps expand the world, like on Havarl, where you go to the Seers and you figure out more stuff about the Angara and all that. You know, having side content that actually directly helps the initiative or directly influences or makes the main story go a little bit further is always welcome. I still think EO just did a pretty good job of introducing a lot of the basic stuff that you'll be doing, but unlike Inquisition, where the regular like initial mission really kick-started like the Inquisition and what you'd be doing, EOS felt more like it would rev up and then like kind of hit a big middle and then it would rev up again, but it was like more of a pacing thing. I would say most of the main missions in Andromeda are paced fairly well. It's just a lot of the busy work, and this also affected Inquisition as well, where even though I'm going through that again just to see like differences and maybe some similarities that took it out, is both of these games, some of the busy work, it's just like that's what it just was. It didn't really add much to the story other than, oh, are you interested in 100%ing the whole entire game and collecting every single thing known to man? Yes? Well, here, boy, howdy, do we have a bunch of missions for you? No. And believe me, that's still something I have to fight in myself every time I'm playing a game that's a little bit more open-ended like this, where it's just like, oh god, no, don't collect everything. Stop it. Just try to do the missions that actually make sense for the story first. Which, yes, you will get a better experience if you just kind of stay on the straight and narrow with that. Uh, but I also get why they did that because of the online component for Andromeda. And even each of the planets that you explore kind of like expand on that. You know, it's not to the point where it was like war assets like in Mass Effect 3, but you could tell where they wanted to be like, oh, we have a single player game, but here's this live service thing that will keep you going, right? I do like the viability system for each planet, but again, most missions that help the biggest towards the viability are built to be a little bit more engaging than a bunch of the little side stuff added up. I'm talking like, oh, collect 10 over here, or collect these 5 over there. Like most of those missions, I really wouldn't put in even a semi-open world game, just because it does feel mostly like, oh, Yes, go over here and shoot 10 creatures and come back. You have basically secured the area for the colony. Mm-hmm. Now, the ones I found more effective, even on EOS, was, taking care of the darn remnant snake or the giant metal, that, because I can't talk today, but yeah, giant metal worm thing. That was pretty interesting. And, we got a decent amount of goodies for it at the end. But quite honestly, I think each of these planets, they really didn't need much more than, you know, open up the vault, do the terraforming, and establish the colony. And then maybe have like one or two main missions for each planet. Kind of like how on Kadara you had to figure out stuff for the outlaws to stabilize that, and like the big murder mystery thing. And then with EOS, you had basically get rid of the radiation. And, I would say, well, the one murder mystery also on that planet was pretty decent. I mean, it was a good way to use the scanning capability. You know, I'm not going to knock them for that. It's just that I would say probably take out like half the busy work missions. Like, unless it really is something vital to expanding the Andromeda Initiative, which really, the H planet that had all that extra fuel. Like, yeah, that I understand. Like, it's stuff like that would help build up the setting rather than, like, in the Hinterlands, let's go take out 10 bears. It's like, why? Go collect 10 rams. Ram meat to help feed people. Like, oh, okay. Uh, that's an example, again, of, like, where it's not really needed. So, the TLDR of this part of the video is for each planet, but especially Eos, since it's like an introductory desert planet. Oh, I gotta say, out of all of them, I'm not really keen on most desert planets, just because, I guess maybe it's because it's easy to kind of make them, but it's not really visually, oomph, like, woo. Because I would say, like, one advantage that the desert Krogan planet had was the fact that there was that giant remnant ship that you explored. It basically helped break up, like, the sand everywhere quota. But yeah, overall, EOS, I would probably put it at like a 6 out of 10 for how you can introduce things. I would say that Ryder and crew initially hitting up Habitat 7, that helped galvanize things a little bit more than EOS did. But overall, yeah, for the first planet you go to after the introduction, yeah, EOS is there. I mean, and really, I would say probably what held Andromeda back a little bit was they didn't do the illusion of choice as good as the trilogy did. Which, in the end, man, that illusion of choice thing fell off and died in the gutter, especially because of those endings. But, it was a problem even before that. Like, we've been looking at some other things, even with Mass Effect 2. I'm like, oh my god. Yeah, some of the illusion of choice stuff just you started tapering off even then. So, there's things that they can learn probably from both Mass Effect Trilogy and Andromeda, where I would say I would want the more open ability to explore a little bit, or semi-open ability to explore, and the way the combat worked. I liked how that integrated with everything, because I'm all for my Vanguard Smash, ahoy!